Hello, everyone. Welcome to Beyond Life Paranormal Podcast. I'm your host, Russell Reynolds, and my guest tonight is running behind. They are getting severe thunderstorms where he's at. Um, so his power has been out for about 2 hours now. So if he does not get on, we will reschedule him at a later time, maybe next weekend or something. But so we'll see if he does come on. If not, I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit. Phyllis Duckworth, welcome in. Thanks for tuning in. Um, we're going to talk a little bit about an event that's coming up in October. It is called the Rock Island Roadhouse Expo, and it's in Rock Island, Illinois. Um, I will put up a flyer here. Hey, Missy, welcome in. Um, it originally starts. It's going to start on the third. They've got stuff going on the third at Rock Island. Um, Several guests are going to be there. As bunch of vendors, probably over 100 or so, is going to be there. We'll also be there. Um, hey, Cynthia, welcome in. It's going to be a big expo. There's a lot of workshops. Several of them are sold out already. Um, you can get tickets at extremeticketing.com, which is, or just go up and look on Get Haunted, and you can get them. You can find our website through Get Haunted as well. Um, the Warren's Occult Museum will be there. You will have to buy your tickets for that. To Annabelle will be there. Um, so be sure to get your tickets quick because they are selling out fast. The VIP investigation's already sold out. The Midnight Seance with Patty Negri is also sold out already. So, and I know there's still a few tickets for the Devils on the Run tour yet. What they got going on the first night is Spirit Squatches Stories Around the Campfire, Special Edition CE5. Um, Goes from 7 p.m. to midnight. It's $40 for that. And I believe it's going to be Grizzly Chris and several others that are going to be talking about Sasquatches and the paranormal out there around a campfire. So make sure you guys check that out. Missy, yeah, we're gonna be there. We're a vendor there as well. So also my friend Vixen Paranormal from Texas is also a vendor there. Like I said, there's gonna be several. My good friend Dave Giuliano, all of Get Haunted, Next of Kin Paranormal, who are good friends of ours, are all gonna be there. Like I said, there's over 115, several from the 28 Days Haunted. Um, hey Barbara, welcome in. If you are interested in volunteering, they do need volunteers to help out with the expo with the vendors. So, like, if some of them have to go to guest speak as well, that somebody's watching their table, stuff like that, they could always use the extra help, especially if you other teams that are part of the expo, if you got a big team, be sure to reach out to them. Maybe you can lend a hand. Um, yeah, Cynthia, be good to see you there. Also, here's the dates on it. It costs general admission is $5. General admission, $55 for an add-on ticket for the Warren's Occult Museum, which I know my family's bringing quite a few objects from the museum out there. So be sure to check that out, and it's going to be a good time. I mean, you can learn a lot. There's several workshops. Empty Casket Paranormal Bill and his wife, they're doing a scrying workshop, and I got the privilege to meet Bill and his wife at Missouri State when Get Haunted did the book signing out here. Cool group of people. You'll learn a lot. Bill's also got a talking board museum, so if you want to learn about Ouija boards and stuff like that, he educates people on them. Uh, Several podcasters, including myself, will all be out there. So if you want to stop by and say you're interested in learning how to want a podcast, come talk to the several of us podcasters out there. We'll be happy to teach you about podcasting and how to get started. Hey, Jeanette, welcome in. We're just waiting on my guest. Hopefully, he does come in. My guest tonight is Squatch Man, which Squatch Man will also be at the Rock Island Paracon as well in October. Um, so he's dealing with the severe thunderstorms and stuff there in Mississippi, which we just had them come through Missouri here the past couple days. We ended up with like 4 to 6 inches of rain here. We had some flash flooding going on. So he's dealing with that now, and he's got a power outage where he's at. It's been off for a while. He said 2 hours. So he was hoping it came back on before the podcast, but if not, we'll schedule him for next weekend if I can get him to come back on. Um, so if anybody, while we're waiting for my guest, if you want to pick my brain and ask me some questions on the paranormal, stuff like that, feel free to post questions in the chat. But definitely check out the Rock Island Paracon. They also have a website too where you can check it out. And I will post the link right here in the chat too, so you can check the link out. And all the info for the Rock Island Paracon is on there as well. Events that are sold out or you can get tickets to. Um, that's a little bit about Rock Island. It's going to be a good expo. So if you're willing to learn, you want to learn something, you'll learn something from a whole bunch of us that are out there. And each of us all have different paranormal styles, how we investigate. So if you want to learn different styles, feel free to come talk to any one of us that are out there. Like I said, Nesper will be out there. My family will be out there with the Warren's Cult Museum. I also hear little Annabelle from Get Haunted's also going to be there too. So make sure you get your pictures with little Annabelle. I will share my screen so you can actually see the website. This is the actual. Oh, it didn't even come through. Here we go. Here's the actual website for the expo. I'll scroll up to the top here. These are all the vendor lineups. You've got 222 Paranormal Podcast, Joe and Jennifer Shortage, 28 Days Haunted Aaron G. Thompson, 28 Days Haunted Nick Simmons. Which, if you're not familiar with 28 Days Haunted, it was based on a theory of my cousins, Ed and Lorraine Warren, spending 28 days in a haunted location investigating nonstop what it could do to a person's, what can it do to people being cooped up with a group of people for 28 days in a haunted location. And it was a big series on Netflix. They did a whole season of it. My cousin Tony Sparrow was one of the lead guys on it, one of the lead talents for it. Aaron Shavers was another one. Also, Dan Rivera, the late Dan Rivera, my cousin, he was also one of the producers for 28 Days Haunted. Not yet. Um, I'm planning on putting one together. I've done stuff on Slender Man. I did stuff on Mothman. Uh, I did stuff on. I just did 2 episodes on serial killers not too long ago. Um, did stuff on quite a few Bigfoot episodes. Sheep Squatch, Boggy Creek Monster, and but yeah. So be sure to check out their website, and you can find all the info for the Rock Island Paracon. But so Lucas B, I'm not understanding you. What do you mean? Awesome, thank you, Phyllis. Yeah, you'll love my shows. I try to educate people a little bit about us. Beyond Life Paranormal Research Missouri is a residential investigative team. We go into people's houses and we help people with paranormal issues, and we don't charge. Um, we do home cleansings on people. We don't do exorcisms. We're not authorized to do exorcisms, but we do have the connections if it comes to that. We do deal with demonic entities, which are very rare, but they do happen on occasion. Um, but we do a lot of residential cases, and we're in it to help people with their paranormal issues. But yeah, I've got several replays up, Phyllis, on my YouTube channel, Beyond Life Paranormal Research on YouTube, and my times when I was with Supernatural Inc. And then I've got several from me out on my own now doing it. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to post them in the chat. Lucas B, what do you mean by magic time traveler? But again, if you're interested to volunteer for the expo, feel free to reach out to uh, Sarah from Get Haunted. You can reach out to Candy Slater as well. You're possessed. You might need to call clergy to come in there for that if you're possessed. But if you have any other questions, feel free to post them up in the chat. I don't think Squatch Man's going to make it tonight. I do have a little Bigfoot story to share with you. We were gonna share it on the show when Squatchman was on. Um, when we were headed to, I will be fine. It was in DC. Lucas, this is not the show for that. Because I don't do the politics stuff. Not on my podcast. But we were on our way to Gettysburg, and we were going up to the Allegheny Mountains, and there's these sharp turns going up through the mountain ranges. This was about 2:30 in the morning, and my headlights had hit a figure was raiding a trash can, and it stood up. My dad seen it because I was driving. I was focused on the road, and I've got those LED headlights, and this figure stood up, and it stood probably about 7 to 8 feet tall, and it had a trash can lid in its hand, and it was all hairy, real built, husky, and it turned and looked at the car and looked at my dad, and it ended up curling its lip at him, kind of like a warning, like, "Hey, if you get any closer, I'm gonna throw the lid at you, or I'm gonna do something." And we never did turn around and go back because you can't really turn around on that road because when you get up in that road into those mountains, you start hitting the fog coming out of the national forest and stuff like that. So I got looking at some reports of Bigfoot activity up in there, and they have a lot of reports that people have been spotting Bigfoots in that area. And so it was an interesting thing going out there to actually experience that. It was my dad's first time ever seeing a Bigfoot. I mean, we grew up in the woods. My dad did. Hey, how are you? Welcome in. Yeah, we're waiting on my guest, Squatch Man, tonight. He's dealing with severe thunderstorms, and so his power's been out for a while. He was hoping it came back on for the show tonight, but I don't think he will. No, Lucas, the stream doesn't delete itself. Yeah, Missouri's been getting hit with it. We got hit 2 days with it, and flash flooding, and we've got probably a good 4 to 6 inches of rain in the past couple days. And our farmers out here have been trying to get their hay in, and they're having a hard time. Oh, that's weird that the whole chat just disappeared. But yeah, that Bigfoot was a little strange for us to experience something like that. Yeah, YouTube's probably glitching. I know sometimes Facebook does that too when it starts glitching like that. Why does it need to happen again, Lucas? But yeah. So, like I said, check out the Rock Island Paracon. Like, like I said, the Warren's Occult Museum will be out there. There's a lot of things going on. Like I said, the overnight investigation is sold out already. The Midnight Seance with Patty Negri, who's a celebrity psychic, is sold out already. But there's a lot more workshops still going on. I live northeast Florida, right next to the Jennings State Forest. Man, I'll tell you, it's charted territory for Bigfoot and Dogman. Oh, I'm sure. I know some dogmen have been started being reported here in Missouri. I was talking to our local Missouri Bigfoot guy, Carter Burchard, who's got more than 1,000 reports published in the state of Missouri for Bigfoot sightings, and he was saying he's starting to get reports of dogmen out here as well. And when he goes back out, we're supposed to tag along with him and go see if we can experience and find dogman and some Sasquatch down in the Mark Twain National Forest. And he just got done writing a book. I also have a book going to be coming out soon. I'm almost done with it. Yeah, he is. There's been a lot of reports of him. Definitely have Bigfoot here in Florida. I'm going to start doing some research filming in Jennings State Forest. Yeah, I have a cousin that lives, several relatives that live down in Florida, and they were, my one cousin was telling me about some Bigfoot activity down there. I know you guys got that skunk ape, is what they call it down there in Florida. We have what they call here in Missouri the Momo monster, which I don't know if any of you are familiar with what the Momo monster looks like. Let me see if I still have a picture of the Momo monster. But yeah, the Momo monster is kind of smaller than your average size Bigfoot. It's only got 3 fingers on each hand and 3 toes on each foot, glowing red eyes, and it's supposed to be one of the most aggressive Bigfoots, which how small it is, I'm surprised that it they call it a Bigfoot because I mean it's a lot shorter than what it's supposed to be. Here's our Momo monster. This is supposed to be our Missouri Bigfoot. And this one's supposed to be highly aggressive. It will throw things at you. It will try to attack you. And this was probably a year ago or so. We were at a Paracon and Carter was there, and there was a report of Bigfoot not too far from where I live. That the lady said her grandkids were trying to communicate with it, and it was answering back, which is pretty good report. I mean, haven't heard any of the Momo monster sightings since the 70s. There was one spotted in Gallatin, Missouri, and that was the last one that's been spotted since the 70s. And but I know we do have some regular Sasquatches and Bigfoots here in southern Missouri, down by the Ozark Mountains, and then we've got down by Arkansas and the Ozarks down in Arkansas. But the Mark Twain National Forest seems to inhabit a lot of them. And there's a lot of paranormal stuff that goes on in the Mark Twain National Forest as well. Um, Anywhere from they've got a haunted cemetery down there that's supposed to be a demonic cemetery, and it's also we've gotten asked to go down there. Yeah, it's definitely a cool looking monster. I mean, don't know if it's supposed to be. You know, they say Bigfoot's paranormal because they call them shapeshifters and stuff like that. Carter told me one of his experiences that he had when I had him on the show that he watched one on thermal appear upright on two legs and then all of a sudden disappear right into an orb and just disappear, which is kind of interesting for it to do that. So we're trying to determine if Bigfoot's from maybe another. They come through portals like paranormal does, or they're from other beings, kind of like aliens and stuff like that. Lucas, I'm not understanding you, but yeah, the one my dad said he saw when we were on our way to Gettysburg had like brownish color hair, so it was a Sasquatch. He said the arms and the chest on him were huge, and then he could see the lip curl when it curled its lip. No, that's the thing. There's no definitive evidence of a Momo, which is funny because the last report was from the 1970s of the Momo, and you don't hear any more from this day. Only reports that you're hearing now are just regular Bigfoot and Sasquatches. Hey, Granzer. Uh, well, I was supposed to have a guest on tonight, but we were going to be talking about Sasquatch. I was supposed to have Squatch Man on tonight, but he's dealing with them severe thunderstorms that ripped through Missouri here and that headed his way into Mississippi, and his power's been out, so he hasn't been able to get on. So we're gonna reschedule him for next weekend. So we're just chit chatting. We were talking about the Rock Island Paracon that we're all going to be at in Rock Island, Illinois. Um, that's in October. So now we're just chit chatting about Bigfoot and paranormal and stuff like that. So there's not really any topic. We're just kind of round table type thing. But yeah, Phyllis, yeah, there's no concrete evidence of Momo's footprints. Just not that I've seen any. Carter has told me he hasn't received anything on Momo or anything when I've talked to him about it. He does Mississippi. He's from Mississippi. He's a 40-year Sasquatch researcher. He's lived in the woods with Sasquatches for 40 years. I think he does, like he goes out to Kentucky. I think he goes to several different states and does it. And, he's a well-known Bigfoot researcher from everybody back east to the Midwest, but I've heard he got some compelling evidence. I know he goes out to, Kentucky to Fort Duffy out there, which is owned by my, good friends Pac-Man Paranormal, Ernie and Denise Pack, and he goes out there and does some Bigfoot investigations too. Yep, they have the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. My cousin John Zaffis is there right now, and our good friends Ghostly Images of Gettysburg are there, and quite a few of our friends are out at that Paracon. They call that the Christmas in July. Oh wow! Wonder who he is. Does he have a channel? Uh, Squatchman has a Facebook group page. You can also see Squatchman at the Rock Island Roadhouse Expo. He will be there also. Um, Grizzly Chris will be out there. He's also another one that does Bigfoot researching too, as well. Ronald Murphy, the crypto guru, is oh nice. Yeah, I thought I seen it advertised on Facebook on their page. I know my buddy Brandon Cooper's out there. Ernie Atwell's out there. He's another good friend of mine. And it looks like it's a pretty good Paracon this year. We wanted to go to it this year, but we didn't get to go. We've gotten so busy and with everything going on. And oh nice, happy birthday to your daughter. Yeah, it was hot here in Missouri. Yeah, Duke Sullivan. Yeah, definitely. I will definitely get him on. Um yeah, I'll reach out to him and see if I can get him on the show. If you guys haven't check out channel 12 on the Paranormal White Witch show. I was a guest on there Monday night, which went out on national TV. Um, I was on there talking paranormal with them, and I've got one coming out Beyond the Woodline with Beyond the Woodline Paranormal. I was on their podcast. That'll be out released soon. Um, I'm a guest on another one on August 7th. Oh, the Googly, yeah. I've heard of that, but I've never studied into it. I know Carter has, I believe. I think he's checked up on it. But you should have been on last weekend, Granzer, where I did another episode on serial killers. Last weekend, I did John Wayne Gacy, Ted Bundy, the Zodiac, and the Birdman of Alcatraz, which was a pretty good show. And so That went about I didn't do a 3-hour show like I did the one before that. It was only 2 hours this time. So, but yeah, anybody that just tuned in, if you're interested in volunteering at the Rock Island Expo in October, reach out to Sarah from Get Haunted. You can reach out to Candy Slater if you're interested. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, send me his info. I mean, I'm interested. I'll have anybody on. I like to dive into a whole, not just paranormal. I like to do horror, like serial killers, true crime stuff as well. Because they all seem to tie into each other anyway. So cryptids, monsters. Yeah, there was another channel that was live sports channel, and when they ended, you were getting ready to end too. Oh, okay. But yeah, that was a pretty good show. The first serial killer show I did was on. Okay, Lucas, what question? Questions about what? But yeah, the first one I did was actually pretty good. That was did one on Robert Burdella and BTK, which I got to meet a photographer that goes by BTK Photography, and he actually got to interview BTK for his book, Brent Thomas Paranormal Portal. Okay, yeah, I've heard of him. I've heard of Brent Thomas, and I think I've checked out one of his shows. They're actually pretty good. And then there was another one I was watching, another paranormal one that I thought was pretty informative. Tic Tac UFOs or Lockheed Technology? That's an interesting question. Which is weird because if you notice, like UFOs and stuff, only certain people see them. If you notice that, it's anybody that's kind of in tune to or sensitive in that sort of region seems to attract them. I've noticed, like my buddy Rupert Guy, he can go out and meditate and communicate with them. It's the craziest thing. Um, Andrea Perron's another one. She can do it too. She was at a Paracon and she went outside and put a cigarette in her mouth and started singing Frank Sinatra "My Way" up into the sky, and the whole sky just lit up like things were coming out of the sky to her. It was the darndest thing, and Grant Thomas has an interview me section on his website if you were up to it. Think- Yeah, I'll have to go onto his website and check him out. I'd be interested. Doesn't the videos for some reason always flying around military area? Yeah, like those Area 51. Another thing is even like Skinwalker Ranch. They see a lot of UFO activity out there. and not just paranormal and stuff. I know my buddy Rupert was up on the mountain by Skinwalker Ranch, and he said he was able to communicate with some astral beings from there. What is your take on Bigfoot Flag and the guy who befriended him? I don't know if I've ever heard of that. I'll have to look into that. They seem to follow military cargo planes and military helicopters and a lot of spheres and triangle crafts. Yeah, I wonder if to them with the blinking lights it resembles maybe another UFO passing through. I mean, that's like them mysterious drones that were flying all over the place. I mean, we were counting 10 to 20 of them here in Missouri flying over my house tonight, and I just started seeing a few of them again. So I don't know, you can get her, but Christina Gomez. Okay. Yep, I've heard of her. I know they did a Ghost Adventures episode at Skinwalker Ranch because Dave Schrader was on there. Dave was on was a guest on my show, and we talked about that. He went up on the mountain by himself and did some investigating up there with just cameras and equipment. He gave Zach his cell phone and everything like that. He was telling me, and he was getting some crazy activity up there. And weird owls, and I communicated with them. I posted. Yeah, owls are. I mean, we this probably several years ago, we got called into a local cemetery because they had thoughts there was reports of a skinwalker, which Missouri's known for Native Americans as well, but they're not known for the Navajos or anything like that, which is what a skinwalker is. And they're old Navajo witch doctors that were bad, and when they died, they stayed as a bad, evil spirit. And they're known to frequent cemeteries and travel 50 miles a night digging up graves. Well, we got called into the cemetery for one, and so we get there. It's still daylight. Team's all walking around the cemetery. I'm getting some pieces of equipment out of the car, and my dad starts walking through the cemetery. Well, we both look up, see this red-tailed hawk up in the tree, and so my dad walks towards that tree, and a red-tailed hawk. You walk towards it, it's gonna fly away. This didn't. This just like vanished in broad daylight. Granzer, it was, channel 12, you can get it on the Roku, Amazon Fire. You do have to subscribe to it because it is a TV station, but, you can buy just the episode for, like, 4.99 that I was on. But, so as he was walking there, all of a sudden he felt like something pinned him to the tree, and he ended up getting a claw mark bruise right here on his wrist that kept coming and going for, like, 2 weeks straight. And, so we ended up getting him away from there. He ended up spending the rest of the night in the car because he did not feel well after that. So one of my members come and got me and says, "Hey, can you come back to the woods back there?" They were hearing stuff towards the woods, and it was just starting to get not really dark, but just a hazy sunset where you could still see broad daylight. Look, and here's that red-tailed hawk sitting in a tree in the woods looking at us. And you could feel something didn't feel right in there. And so he we got investigating. got dark, so we went back towards the woods. Well, one of my members decided, "Oh, I'm gonna go down further," headed towards the woods. Well, in about 30 seconds, she was right behind me hiding because she heard something coming at her in the woods. And so we heard something up in the corner of the cemetery, and I had a buddy with me that's a paranormal investigator. And we walked up to the top of the cemetery, and he hit the flashlight and he says, "Stop, don't move anymore." And I looked, said to him, "Why?" And he says, "Look down in front of you." And I looked down in front of me. I was 5 seconds away from getting impaled through the stomach by a fence post. And then this owl lets out a hoot right above our heads, kind of like it was laughing at us. Russell, was it something that got him, the hawk, or do you think it was? I think it was the evil spirit because they are known to shapeshift to animals. They will shapeshift to a wolf. They'll shapeshift to a hawk, a squirrel, any kind of animal. Their main purposes is what they're doing is trying to dig up bodies to make more evil spirits of them, which Native Americans believe that you don't call them skinwalkers because that calls them forward. They call them shapeshifters in the Native American culture. But a couple of my members went back there and they seen this squirrel couldn't even climb a tree. It wasn't even acting right, and they were also sensitive, and so they were picking up on something out there. And I told them not to go back out there, stay away from that place. And they went out there, and then that's when they started experiencing that, and that was in broad daylight. They experienced that squirrel acting the way it was. I mean, I wasn't there for sure to say the squirrel was sick or something like that, but it was a pretty good night. We got some evidence out of there. We managed to run a DVR system out there as well, and we did get some EVPs while we were out there as well, because it is also a haunted cemetery as well. Um, Another theory a friend of mine has about that cemetery that there's an elemental in there. Yeah, it could be because in that part of the region up there, I mean, there they say there's Native American burial grounds up through there, and there was Native Americans that frequent the river there, and then when the river dried up, they moved north, and a lot of them got ran out, and a lot of them houses that are there now are built over Indian burial grounds. They're built over limestone, and water runs under the ground through there. We actually had to do a case in somebody's house there. Yeah, it's a haunted cemetery, and right up the road from it, probably another 10, 12 miles up the road from it is another one, a haunted cemetery called Slagle Cemetery, and that place is extremely haunted. We've done some overnights out there, and we've caught figures on thermal out there. And first night we were out there in the cemetery investigating, and it was on Halloween. We went out there, and we were using a FLIR thermal imaging camera of my buddies and shining it down on the wood line, and you could see the deer out there along the edge of the woods, and we see this figure peek out from around the tree on the edge of the wood line, and it was the shape of a human. But the thing is, the deer were right there, and the deer weren't even reacting to it. It was like the deer didn't even see it. Now, how close them deer were to that figure, them deer should have taken right off, and they didn't. And if you grew up in the woods and a hunter like I did, you know deer are afraid of humans unless you feed them and you get them real tame. But at night, a deer is not going to come up to you. Russell, in areas like that, I wonder if the past before anything was built there, that land was created to be unholy or with black magic practices in the past. It could be. I mean, that whole area used to be a plantation at one time. A friend of mine's house that we investigated, which you can see in my trailer on YouTube, her house used to be a plantation house, and it was connected to the city parks there and everything. And they've had confirmed slaves. The house across the street from hers is an old Victorian house, and it's still got slave shackles in the basement. So, I mean, there could have been a lot of black magic going around there. Russell, I remember a story I was told in 1970s about some forest in Mexico where witches and warlocks go gather once a year. This is a sort of a story that every culture has. Yeah. I mean, Louisiana's got it too, where they go back in the swamp back there and practice voodoo. They have a voodoo rituals and stuff back there. I was talking to a guy at the Jesse James farmhouse here. He was taking a tour. He was here in Missouri working the pipeline, and he was telling me about that part of the swamp. You do not go back in there at night. It has a big voodoo curse on it, and you go back in there and you'll start seeing things hanging from the trees like symbols and everything that is your warning to stay out of there, that the land is cursed. And that's even here in Missouri, out in Lawson, Missouri. There's a place we investigate out there. They have a local legend of a black man, and he was accused of practicing voodoo and witchcraft, which the locals didn't want it. And that was back then, about the time when in the 1800s, when they were taking black men as slaves, and they drug him from his cabin up on the hill, and they took him down and they strung him in a tree across the bridge. A warning to anybody that practices witchcraft and voodoo that it wasn't welcome there. And he ended up cursing the his cabin, the land, and the bridge. The bridge, they can't keep boards on it, and you drive over it, and it sounds like bones rattling when you drive over it. The boards do, and they say that's his bones rattling. And now they put in a concrete bridge over there, and somebody decided to paint a pentagram on it, on the sign of the bridge at the weight limit sign. And that place has got history of confirmed slaves, Native Americans, Mormon massacre happened there, the Battle of Crooked River, which is the old Mormon massacre. Forest in Mexico, I don't know where it's at. The story goes that people will keep out of there, like if 10 boys go in there at different times, maybe like only 6 or 7 may return. Sort of like how the suicide forest is, where people don't kind of return. But yeah, I'm sure. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes on. I mean, there's still a lot of satanic sacrifices that still go on to this day back in the woods that people practice it. I mean, my cousin's got several artifacts in their museum that were used in demonic rituals and demonic sacrifices and stuff like that. And I've seen some of the stuff that has been used in that. But, um but yeah, that place over there that we do, it's just crazy. You be out there at night and you'll hear gunfire all hours of the night. Sounds like a war zone over there. The one night we were over there investigating the abandoned farmhouse that they own up on top of the hill, and it sounded like somebody was firing a cannon off, which it's getting close to South Missouri where we've had our Civil War battles. You go down through there, you can go to Lexington, Missouri, and stuff like that. And Springfield, Missouri is all our local battlefields for Missouri. And so you be out there, and then I think there's a lot of residual from the Battle of Crooked River where the Mormons had gotten massacred through there, and how that became about. Their first settlement, Hans Mill in Bramer, Missouri, was their first settlement along with Far West, and the Mormons were taking over Missouri, and they didn't want it. And the Mormons had stolen a cannon from the military, and they were afraid they were going to start a war. So a militia had rode out on the night before Halloween, rode into Hans Mill, and didn't even reason with them, just started shooting people, men, women, children. They killed about 17 of them and threw them down a shallow well. And the ones that did escape managed to follow Shoal Creek all the way down, make it to Lexington, and they had more militia waiting down there in case some of them did try to escape. And as they were going across the river, they were picking them off one by one. So the head ones, they left. They managed to escape, even though they got wounded. And I think they both went to Illinois for a little bit. One went, and the other brother went to Iowa. Well, the one in Illinois, they caught him. They lynched him. The other brother, he managed to lay low for a while. He come back to Missouri here, and he ended up in Lawson, Missouri, along Crooked River. And he was trying to start another settlement there. Well, they weren't having it, and that became the Battle of Crooked River, the Mormon War. And he ended up, I believe, he got killed there at the Battle of Crooked River. And that place has got a history of Jesse James riding through there. He used to the grandparents, great grandparents used to hide Jesse and his crew when they were riding through and feed them. And there's quite a few people that used to do that for the James gang. They would hide them out in barns and feed them. And so, and his farmhouse where he was born is not too far from there, down in Kearney, Missouri. So that is an interesting place. Also, they do not allow any investigations in there because of everything's still original in there. You can't go in there. They don't even allow flash photography in there. But I was talking to some of the one tour guide, and she had sent us a picture that was taken of her family out of backside. They were outside on the back of the house, and the back part of the house, the siding's missing to show where the firebomb had went through the window from the Pinkertons. And so she was taking a picture of her family, and what pops up is a old picture of a lady from the 1800s in the window. And how clear it is, it looks like a picture. So we decided we're going to go take the tour down there and see if we can try to debunk that because she sent it to us. So we go through and take the tour, and we get up to the house. She starts explaining some of the history outside. There used to be a tree there where they hung Jesse James and Frank's stepfather. The Pinkertons did because he wouldn't give up the James boys. And so that night, we had just gotten off an investigation, so the tour guide told us there's kids that were interested in the hauntings. So she asked the lady, she says, "What are we gonna do if there's hauntings?" And so she goes, "Well, we got paranormal investigators here." And we were like, "Yeah, we're paranormal investigators. We just got off a case last night. Any questions, see us after the tour." So we start the tour, go inside, and we start off in the one bedroom, which was Frank and his wife's bedroom. And because Frank lived there till the day he died, he would give tours of the house and continued the tradition that his mother did. Um, so after we got there, we went into the living room and she was explaining Zerelda, which was Jesse's mother. And we're standing there talking and just listening. And there was one guy that kept hanging back because he knew what we were there for. We were there for the paranormal stuff. And so we're standing there, and my dad taps me on the shoulder and he says, "Hey, look down behind you." I look down behind me, and there's two rocking chairs sitting there between the table, and they're sitting there going like this, just rocking back and forth on their own. So I tapped our friend that was with us, and I was like, "Hey, look down behind me." And she's trying to accuse me of kicking them, and I was nowhere near them. So we move on, get to Zerelda's bedroom, and so we get done there, we go out to Jesse's grave, and the guy from Louisiana that was working the pipelines here in Missouri, he was telling us, "I was watching those chairs, and those chairs were moving on their own. He was nowhere near them." And so we got an opportunity to walk back through the house with the tour guide, and we checked out that window, figuring maybe there was a picture reflecting through it. There's no picture on the wall. And right there is right where Jesse's little brother, Archie Samuel, died from the firebomb that the Pinkertons threw through the window, which blew off Jesse's mother's hand because she threw it in the fireplace. And the tour guide would tell me she'd go up there and the kerosene lantern be lit in the living room. She'd walk in and Jesse's mother's rocking chair would be rocking back and forth. And so she put that rocking chair there so she could watch over her son's grave when he used to be buried on the farm. And she had a double barrel shotgun that sat right by her table in case anybody tried to come and do something to Jesse's grave. She would greet him with that double barrel shotgun. And so our tour guide let us go up in the slave quarters. So we had did a spirit box session up in the slave quarters. And we ended up talking to Jesse James himself. He come through, and then Frank came through, and then we hear a little boy go, "I'm here too." And we think that might have been Archie Samuel, Jesse's little brother. In the museum, we were running a digital recorder in there and captured several EVPs in the museum because that's where all the artifacts are. Jesse's guns are in there, his boots, Frank's guns are in there. They've got dresses from the wives. The top of Jesse's coffin's in there. The bullet that was in lodged in Jesse's head was in there, which I don't know, anybody that's still watching, what do you think what is your theory on the whole Jesse James thing about they say that he faked his death to get away because he was wanted, so and he ended up living down in Texas under a different name. I'm curious to see what your guys' input on that, what you believe on with Jesse. I know that's like Billy the Kid also, they say that Pat Garrett never shot Billy the Kid, and Billy lived in Texas to be Brushy Bill Roberts, but, I mean, my theory is I don't think Jesse died. I think he faked it. He was just too much heat on him and Frank, so he decided to fake his own death. Because I don't see Jesse taking his guns off and turning his back on somebody, especially somebody like Robert Ford, and so I think he managed to escape, and he went down to Texas and lived a normal life. I mean, that's like Frank turned himself in. He was held in the Gallatin, Missouri jail. They had him out in, a cage out there, out in the yard. There's reports that he was in the Warrensburg, Missouri jail also. They had him in a cage out in the yard to show that, they had one of the James gang. I live not too far from the bank that he robbed here in Gallatin, Missouri, and then I don't live too far from the cave that he used to hide out in. And the cave that he hid out in is in Mooresville, Missouri, which is not too far from me. And that's where the old Ray and Faye Copeland farm is not too far from there either, which is the old Missouri, they're Missouri killers, which you can go back to the replays from the first show. I talked about Ray and Faye Copeland. There's also an old hotel there in Mooresville, Missouri that they turned into a doctor's office. Back in the 1800s, there was a old spring out there, and pigs that had that collar fever would drink out of it, and it cure it. So the doctor thought, "Oh, hey, if it's curing it in animals, it'll cure it in humans." So he got all these people with that fever, and they were drinking that water from that spring. Well, it ended up killing them all, including the doctor himself. They all died in this hotel, and the hotel still stands, but it's severely run down. It's fallen in now, but it's killed everybody in that hotel. We were trying to get permission to go out there and investigate it, but so we're gonna get ready to wrap up here. Squatch Man must not have gotten his power back. We're only just gonna do an hour tonight. I'm gonna run over again the Rock Island Paracon in Rock Island, Illinois. Um, the Devil on the Run tour. Make sure you get your tickets for that because I know they're selling out fast. Everybody wants to see Annabelle. I believe they might have the Shadow Doll there as well. Um, so there's the times. Just that one, and that we seen that one going into the Allegheny Mountains. I mean, I grew up in the woods. I've been in the woods since I was 6 years old. Actually, younger than that, 4, with my dad. When he would go deer hunting, we'd go walk through the woods. We've never experienced any Sasquatches. I mean, we lived in the Catskill Mountains in New York, so that's where I grew up, and we've never experienced any of that. And again, if you're interested in volunteering, be sure to reach out to Sarah from Get Haunted and Candy Slater and get set up. You never know, you may be helping out in the Warrens Occult Museum there. Hey, Galactic, welcome in. We're just chit chatting. My guest tonight couldn't make it. He's getting hit with them violent thunderstorms that we had here in Missouri, and his power's been out. So we're gonna reschedule him probably next week. But we're just chit chatting. I'm getting ready to wrap up soon. Just running through the Rock Island Paracon Expo event that we're gonna be at in October. Um, so yeah, if you're interested in volunteering, reach out to them. The party starts on October 3rd, Friday night. So you get stories around the campfire about ghosts, Sasquatches from several of them. I know Grizzly Chris is one of them. So be sure to check that out. And you'll learn a lot at the Rock Island because there's several different things to look out for there. Um, you got paranormal investigators, cryptids, UFOs. Um, there's tons of workshops to learn. I know the equipment building one is sold out already. But there's Bill from Empty Casket Paranormal. Him and his wife Tanya are doing a scrying workshop. Um, so you talk to them. Get Haunted going to be there. We'll be there as well. So if you want to come say hi to us, if you're interested in doing podcasting, there will be a guy there that'll be teaching podcasting. If you don't get to that workshop, talk to any one of us that do podcasting there. There'll be a bunch of us there that does it. Grizzly Chris does it, myself. Um, several that get haunted do podcasts. So Nesper also does them too. So you talk to them too as well. Um, like I said, my family's bringing out a bunch from the Warrens Occult Museum. So be sure to check that out. And we're going to get ready to wrap up here. And several events we got coming up, which are on my page. September 27th, we will be at Bordertown Paracon in Caney, Kansas. It's gonna be a good Paracon. Come down, say hi, learn about some stuff. My us and Vixen Paranormal from Texas will be there. Um, and then October 4th we'll be at Rock Island Paracon. And then after that we are at ErieCon at Ashmore Estates, which will be the Men in the Paranormal. My dad and I will be guest speaking there. Um, and then just keep an eye on the page, see what else we got going on. Um, so be sure to tune in next week. Hopefully the weather will be good for Squatch Man. I'll get him scheduled for next Saturday so we can learn about his Bigfoot research and how he goes about it. Um, August, I believe it's August 9th. I will have Bill and Tanya on from Empty Casket Paranormal. Oh, nice. Wish you could come to. Yeah, that's on my bucket list, Ohio, the Mansfield Reformatory. I've never been there, but it's definitely on my list of places to investigate. Um, West Virginia State Penitentiary is another one I want to go. Is on my list. Indiana State Reformatory. I'll get there one day when I'm not so swamped and busy. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap up. Again, I ask everybody to keep my family in your prayers. As you know, we've lost Dan Rivera, one of the legends in the paranormal. So everybody continue to keep praying for everybody and Nesper and stuff. And so, and everybody stay humble. Remember, if you're being bullied in the paranormal field, you have a voice. Don't hold it inside. Feel free to speak out if you need someone to talk to. We're here for you. Several other investigators are here for you too. So, good I filled in. My buddy shot a ghost like thing in the woods that came at us. Oh, nice. But we're gonna go ahead and wrap up because I know we're supposed to get some more storms rolling in tonight too. So, um, everybody stay safe. All right, yeah, definitely. I'll get you on. I'll reach out to you. So, everybody stay safe out there. Stay humbled. God bless. Until the next time, we will see you same time, same channel next week. Hope everybody has a good weekend, good night, and we will see you all next week. Same time, same channel.